Welcome to the Sport and Society Squad pod, aka the SASS. Each week, we bring you 3 sport or society stories to break down and give our sassiest takes. With those sassy takes, we do want to give you a content warning that some of the language used on the pod may be explicit. We just ask that you please be mindful where you're listening and who you're listening with. With that, let's get into it. I'm here with co-hosts Arissan and Wahidah. What's up, my gal pals?
You know, it's winter time. We just lost an hour, and I am not fully prepared for the big dark yet. So,
wait, did we lose an hour or get an hour?
Well, we got an hour of sleep, but we lost an hour of sunlight.
Of daylight.
Daylight.
Shit, okay.
Yeah, you're right. The sun's always shining
and
up
as
somewhere.
a girly who has vitamin D deficiency, I need the sunlight. Anyway, so supplement, y'all. Get your vitamin D in. Drink your orange juice, whatever you need to do.
Snaps for that.
Anyway, but in all seriousness, before we get into the playbook for today, I want to take a quick huddle and cover a few sport and society highlights from this past week so that our listeners feel like they are in the know with the sport and pop culture world. Here are some highlights that we won't be breaking down in depth, but we think are worthy to note. Strap in, y'all, because there is a lot of news this week. In sports news, it was announced last week that the Professional Women's Hockey League, which currently has 6 teams, is looking to expand with as many as two new professional teams for the 2025-2026 season. And the top cities that are rumored to be candidates include Detroit, Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., Denver, Philadelphia, and our hometown, Seattle.
Let's go.
Let's do it. The women's college basketball season will kick off in Paris this year.
Whoa.
With a doubleheader between USC and UCLA and Ole Miss and Louisville. That's really cool. In baseball news, we're getting a women's professional baseball league set to launch in 2026 with 6 teams.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you all to join me with my baseball.
I saw
praise.
this and I was like, I guess this is going to make me a baseball fan. Here we go.
100%.
Let's do it. All right. So in the WNBA, which we're all already fans of, related to that, Kelsey Plum, her jersey was retired at UW's homecoming game this past weekend. It was cold and rainy and a long game, but we loved seeing her there. Some exciting coaching news. The Aces assistant coach, Coach Tyler March, was announced as the new head coach of the Chicago Sky. The Indiana Fever also have hired Stephanie White as their new head coach. So it's a lot of movement already happening. Yeah. And related to the WNBA and expansion, Patrick and Brittany Mahomes met with the WNBA and are in the running to help bring an expansion franchise to Kansas City. So they're working on that one.
And they're already kind of in the soccer world, right? So This will be their second team. Good on them.
Yeah. In NBA news, a lot of drama with a bunch of different sports, but 76ers Joel Embiid got into an altercation with a columnist following a game in Philadelphia this past week. He took issue with a recent column that referenced his late brother and son. So he let that writer know what was up. So Blake Griffin is also in talks with Amazon to become the face of Prime's NBA coverage next season. I'm personally a big fan of Blake Griffin. He's really funny, I think, and super witty.
What does that mean?
He will likely be a commentator or a
there
host.
We go.
Because everything's going on all these millions of platforms. So Amazon's like, we got NFL, why not get an NHL? Let's just get an NBA.
And NBA too. And exciting for me, the cast of season 2 of Netflix NBA docuseries Starting 5 has been announced. It'll spotlight Kevin Durant, James Harden, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jaylen Brown, and Tyrese Halliburton. Chelsea, I know you don't know who any of those folks are, but you can join me in watching.
I do know Kevin Durant. I think James Harden dated Chloe.
Big bear.
So yeah. So and he's kind of got like a sassy gif I like to use at work a lot. So yeah. I know those two.
Cool.
That one.
Also, in culture news, Ella Mai dedicated a song on her new EP titled 3 to Boston Celtics Jason Tatum. He was recently on the last season of Starting 5. The song is called Little Things. It's really sweet. And then related to that, new music, Jordan Woods released her debut single called Be With You. The music video stars her boyfriend, Karl Anthony Towns of the New York Knicks. So I'm all for these basketball players being video vixens during their downtime.
Yeah,
Cool.
why the hell
Fun
not? I
times.
love it.
Related to the music world, Chapel Roan debuted a new country song
Chapel Roan.
Chaperone.
Chappelle Rowan. Chapel Roan. Sorry.
Chapel Roan debuted a new country song. Is it called The Giver?
It is. Yeah,
The
you
Giver.
said that one right.
It was on Saturday Night Live. It's not quite clear when the song and potential sophomore album will be released, but we will take whatever she wants to give us. And we will also work on getting her name right. But Quincy Jones, this is a bit of a bummer coming out of the music industry this week. Quincy Jones, Grammy-winning producer for Michael Jackson, film composer, and the man just responsible for so much of the music culture that we grew up on, passed away this past week at the age of 91. So there's a big gap there in the music world this week. A new Martha Stewart documentary was released on Netflix on October 30th, which takes a look into her life and hardships over the decades, including her infamous federal prison camp stint in 2004. Post the release of that, Martha has put out some comments and statements that are leading some to think that she was not happy with how the final cut of the documentary ended up. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I feel like we'll probably see Snoop Dogg in the documentary because
I freaking
I hope so. I haven't seen it yet.
And lastly, we obviously have to give a shout out to Macaulay Culkin, who dressed up as NFL quarterback Joe Burrow and Chelsea's brother/twin. He killed it for Halloween, so shout out to him.
We became triplets. Yeah, this past week we became triplets.
Wow, how special for you.
It's
wow.
true.
Wow, what a huddle, Wahidah. Let's dive into today's playbook. Today we're going to be talking about the MLB season and World Series coming into an end. We're going to be discussing the drama going on with Brie Poglia? Sure. AKA Brianna Chicken Fry, and now ex-Zach Bryan, and conclude with a classic NFL update. You can tell I'm really knowing about that culture update. Can't wait to learn from there. With that, Wahidah, kick us off about this World Series wrap up.
Baseball fans. We're going to get Chelsea and Arissan on board one of these days. But as you all know, we mentioned that the World Series happened, and that is the end of the baseball season. The Los Angeles Dodgers have done it again. They took the 2024 World Series title in style by outplaying the New York Yankees,
with their
which
bullet.
I love. Yep. Talk about
in New York, right?
In New York. They kept it short and sweet at 5 games. And it was a little bit of a dramatic game because in the final game, LA was down 5-0, but they flipped the script. They fought back and ended up winning 7-6 at the end of the series. Like you said, on New York turf. It's pretty legendary. What a heartbreak for the New York fans. But honestly, that's baseball, right? There's no crying in baseball. You got to deal with it.
That's baseball.
You just got a WNBA championship. You're okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
okay.
enough.
Okay, J-Lo. The true star of the show, though, Freddie Freeman. I did tweet about this after his Grand Slam walk-off in Game 1. But he just went beast mode. He made history with hitting 12 RBIs over the series and hitting 4 home runs, or hitting home runs in 4 straight games, which is very rare. So that earned him the MVP trophy. And you know what? Wow. Standing ovation in my book. I feel like that's really awesome. We also can't forget about Mookie Betts. This man also just made history as the only active player with 3 World Series rings.
Wow.
He won his first... Yeah, he won his only active player, but still really cool. He won his first with the Red Sox in 2018 and then snatched up 2 more with the Dodgers in 2020 and then, of course, this year. So I feel like if he isn't already Hall of Fame material, he should be. His podcast is also really fun and interesting to listen to. So I'll plug that. I'll have to get back to you on that, but just look up
That's
Mookie
fine.
Betts.
We'll drop
I don't think you'll find another Mookie Betts out there. But with that, the season is obviously wrapped up, so we can start to talk about awards. They just released some of these. The major ones are the Gold Glove, the Silver Slugger, the Roberto Clemente Award, which is awarded to the player that is showcases the most humanitarian efforts off the field as well. And then, of course, the player of the year. So to get into that, the Gold Glove, we'll start there. It's all about top defensive skills. So when you're playing in the outfield, or you're playing defense, I'm sorry. It's awarded to the players. I'm still learning too, you guys.
It's when you're playing any part of baseball.
Yeah, you're just in the game. Get your head in the game.
Get your head in the game.
But it's awarded to players at each position in both American and National Leagues, which is kind of cool because every position you have an opportunity to win this award. But that's some of the winners for this year, I see you guys wanting to laugh at that, but like, get it on.
Sorry.
It's a weird day and week. Okay.
Sorry that there's a lot going on emotionally, spiritually, like legally, financially, and
just
everything. Crazy week, friends.
But can I just list off some of the
yes, please.
American League winners? Because that's the league that the Mariners play in. For the Gold Glove this year, the catcher, the winner for the catcher in the catcher position was Cal Raleigh, Big Dumper, a.k.a.
Big Dump himself.
Oh,
yes, we love him.
Big Dumper.
He's also in the running for Silver Slugger, so that's really cool. For first base, First base, Carlos Santana for the Minnesota Twins. He's the oldest position player to win his first career Gold Glove. 38 years old.
Whoa.
Which is wild.
Love that.
For left field, Stephen Kwan for the Cleveland Guardians, who's won 3 straight Gold Gloves in a row. He's one of 2 people to do it for the Guardians.
Yeah, right? Show off.
And then at utility, so utility players kind of plug in wherever they are needed. Dylan Moore of the Seattle Mariners played, I think, second, shortstop, third, and left field this year. So he was just all over the field.
Okay, utility.
Yeah, talk about it.
Give me more.
Okay, Britney Spears, Halloween was last week.
Player of the year this year was New York Yankees' Aaron Judge. You know, too bad he couldn't take home the World Series, but he's going home with something, so can't be mad about that. And the Roberto Clemente Award went to catcher Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals. Again, that is an award handed out to the player who best represents the game of baseball through a few things. So extraordinary character, community involvement, philanthropy, positive contributions, both on and off the field. So I really love that award. I think it's a really cool one to bring in and encourage players to kind of become involved in their communities, especially because they play so long.
Yeah.
Wherever they're playing. But anyway, those are the awards. The Silver Slugger winners will be announced later this week. So we'll maybe mention that the next pod. But opening day 2025 is scheduled for March 27th, which is only 100. It's 140 days until America's favorite pastime returns. And I cannot wait.
I need a break from that. Yeah, that's insane. I have a question for you real quick. Did you not make me and Arissan vote for the Golden Glove?
Roberto.
Oh, is that what we did? Wait,
I remember that. Just for the listeners, in the group chat, Wahidah gave us an action item midday to vote in an award I had never heard of. And I said, fuck yeah, I'll do it. And it sounds like our guy...
Our nominee was JP Crawford. He plays shortstop. And so I was like, you guys go out there, vote for him, please. We love what he does for the community. So thank you for doing it.
Well, but I'm going to be honest. I really thought that we got Big Dumper's win. When I was looking at some of the notes last night, I said, oh my God, we got Big Dumper to win this Golden Glove thing. It was us. It was kind of harking back to how I feel about Dancing with the Stars. It's there's that relatability there with these awards. Like, you can vote sometimes. You sometimes as the fan get to say who your favorite is. So I love that. Per usual, I have a lot of questions when I listen to some of this stuff. And my one question, and maybe this is something we take off the pod and we make for content, so just cut me short if you will. But I'm wondering, like, what's the equivalent? Because as a non-sports fan, I was listening to some of these awards thinking, like, does someone actually fucking pay attention to this every year? Like, are people like, oh my God, who's going to get the Golden Glove? Who's going to get the Golden Glove? The Golden Glove? Like, what, like, is it kind of like maybe how a sports fan feels about, like, the Oscars? Or the Emmys or the Grammys. Like, I remember growing up in my household, my brother was like, I don't give a shit about the Grammys. And I'm like, no, this is everything. This is world stopping. Is that like, is there a comparison? What is the Golden Glove?
I feel like this is just something that gets added to your resume, right? At the end of the day, they play, likely they want to win the World Series. So that's their ultimate goal, right? That's the big prize.
It's just a bonus.
But these are things that are added to the resume. And when we start to think about long-term careers like Hall of Fame and stuff, they're going to take these things into consideration as well.
I also feel, with no knowledgeable context to give here, just my gut response is baseball's unique in their awards in that, like, the Golden Glove is for every position, whereas like other sports, they have like Defensive Player of the Year, maybe you have like goalie, you have all these different, but you don't have one necessarily for every single position. Maybe you have for like Offensive Player, the MVP, but it feels like there's just a lot in baseball because there is. That's my feelings on it.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes baseball can get to a point where like random, I think Chelsea, you mentioned this for another sport that we were talking about too, but they're just random metrics and statistics that are measured. You might get that with baseball. Like, there's just like some random one that is thrown up there.
Only time that he's hit a home run while wearing blue.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think
that's part of the charm of the sport.
I saw the Mariners post, like, they reposted when there was a Seahawks game, and the ref was like, this is a whatever call on the Seattle Mariners, and everyone in the stands was like, it's the Seahawks game. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, and the Mariners were like, it was the only time we've ever been involved in an NFL game. I'm like, yeah, they always are throwing out facts like that. I don't know. I think we could talk about this all day, but I feel like it's time for me to maybe educate you all on something. How are we feeling about that?
Yeah, yes. My only shout out is Ashanti. That was the most that I watched singing at the World Series. And that I was living for that. And I was like, I know that she was like a Super Bowl prediction, and I know it's not the same, but I still feel like I was on some sort of right track. That's all.
She got a big performance. She looked amazing too.
Yeah, she looked phenomenal. I only saw photos, so I'll go listen to the music of it all. But love that, and maybe you are onto something. Again, keep her in mind for our next Super Bowl. But I just want to say I'm happy that I'm back in the pop culture of it all this week. Last week, the last 2 weeks were like a little rough for me personally. So I'm excited to maybe break down a story in a way that is digestible, not only for you two, but for our listeners. So have either of you heard of the Brianna chicken fry and Zach Bryan breakup drama?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know who those people are. So
gorgeous.
This is a big learning moment for me.
Okay. You know what, Arissan? Peep in if you hear anything that's wrong. But just to make this as quick and as concise as possible, Brianna LaPaglia.
Oh, so you can't say her name either.
I can't say it either. So, Wahidah, this is your time to just roast me back. So take your shot. But AKA Brianna Chicken Fry. We're going to call her Chicken Fry for this context of this podcast.
Why do we call her Chicken Fry? Why?
It's a good question. I don't know. I didn't really Google that. When I Googled her, I said, who is she? And who is she? She's a social media TikTok star that shot to fame for her comedy and lifestyle content, which actually ended up landing her a job at Barstool Sports. So, kind of a social media now on Barstool Sports. I'm pretty sure she's on a pod actually with Dave Portnoy himself. And then Zach Bryan is a Grammy award-winning country music singer and songwriter who became well-known by releasing music in his free time while serving in the U.S. Navy, of all things. So that's kind of the backstory on these two. Zach and Bryan started dating in the summer of 2023 after meeting each other in May.
Zach and Bryan?
Zach and Chicken Fry, my bad. Probably a Zach and Bryan out there, though, that did. So
hey, we're happy for you.
But Brick and Fry.
That's their couple name. Brick and Fry.
Whatever. These two, our main suspects, started dating in May of 2023 after meeting each other at the AMC Awards. Keep that in the back of your mind. But just this past October, 2024, Zach posted a story to his Instagram announcing that him and Chicken Fry were no longer together. And shortly after, Chicken Fry shared her own post stating that she was completely blindsided by the news and didn't know, and posted in a YouTube video that she didn't know that he was sharing this, was blindsided, and didn't know that they were going to be sharing this with everybody publicly. So there's drama there. Some other TikTokers have been quick to point out, though, that Zach kind of has a theme going on with some of his breakups and situationships and all of that, which I want to hear your thoughts on. So prior to Chicken Fry, Zach had been in a couple of relationships, which is pretty normal. He was previously married to Rose Madden in July 2020, but in July 2021, they already called it quits. So 1 year, and they were wildly married in Colchuck Lake in Washington. I saw the pics and I was like, wait, I think I've hiked there before. So that was really random. But they had a 1 year relationship. And then Rose also served in the U.S. Navy. And there are rumors that she was served divorce papers while deployed. So just kind of yikes. So that's strike number one.
Wow.
After that, he moved on with a gal named Deb Pfeiffer, I want to say. We're going to call her Deb, in 2022. But then they broke up in May of 2023. Did we hear that date already somewhere?
That's when they got with Chicken Fry.
Yeah. Here's where things seem to look a little funny to fans. And again, this is all alleged. I am not deep enough in this lore to know what the facts are from Chicken Fry and such. But Zach met Chicken Fry at the AMC Awards in May and broke up with Deb what seems to be 1 week after. In my book, that's strike number 2. Some fans have also
alleged
his
photo is strike number 1, so he's already at 3 strikes.
Love a hot take like that. He's on strike 3. He's already on
true.
It's giving truth in the kindest of ways. But yeah, so the other fans were also alleging that Zach cheated on Deb with Chicken Fry. And I can't speak on it, but it's giving red flags. And then finally, just to wrap it up for us, it leads us to today. The two are split. Zach has already been seen back on Raya, the dating app. And I can't get into the rumors that are flying around, but it's drama. I don't follow either very closely, but I'm just wishing them like love and light as they move forward. What are your thoughts?
Not Zach. Not wishing him any love or light.
Yeah. I am wishing him love and light so he stops doing this to girls.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like heal.
Yeah. That's fair. So when I said, unfortunately, I know about this, it's like one of those things that come across and it's so stupid that I'm like, not stupid. I don't mean to minimize like the breakup. And then I like looked into it and like her podcast with her best friend, there was like drama there. But with Zach, what's hard is like, I feel like I enjoy his music and I'm not a big country music fan. And he has like a really great voice. I knew it was up
your alley, bitch.
I know.
Knew this for you.
So before I knew about all the relationship drama, I think it was like last year or something, he got into like altercations with like kind of like cops and got like arrested and like apologized for it. And I've just heard that he's like is just not necessarily a great person. And he does things like break up and then release an album to like talk about his like breakups and like capitalize on that. And it's like really, which is like what most artists do. But all I can say is like, after hearing some stories about him personally, not about the relationship, I'm like, I don't know if I love this dude. And every time I'm like, his song come on, I'm like, oh, do I turn this off? Am I not listening to him anymore? So that's about the extent I know. Also, Chicken Fry is such an interesting nickname to give yourself.
There's got to be something bad. There's got to be something.
But that's it. I'm like that going on a public breakup. That sucks. Not giving getting heads up and like just going publicly on it. I think too for me that's like him trying to control the narrative and be like, I broke up with her. I'm trying to control it. And it's like, yeah, you went through a breakup, but do you have to announce it to the whole wide world the next day without giving this person a heads up when you guys are both public figures and they feel blindsided? That's shady. So red flag all around. And I also agree with Wahidah. His voice is nice, face not so much. All right.
Haven't heard his songs, but yeah, we're just gonna go with the photo. Well, like I mentioned, I have no clue who either of these folks are. So this is where I'm learning a lot, but it sounds like the dude is just a total walking red flag. just
Yeah.
he could have just
Yeah.
dressed up as a red flag for
Not even heart-shaped.
Halloween.
Yeah.
No, not at all. But like maybe, I don't know, maybe like you said, love and light, maybe he just does need to leave like women alone. Take some time, work on your things, and just like learn how to communicate. Like don't drag
Heal.
anyone else into this.
Yeah.
There's clearly some things you need to like figure out, and like it's not okay that you're dragging all these other women into shitty circumstances. Like just
Yeah,
leave them
100%.
alone.
Maybe you need some space alone before you jump on the dating app again.
Yeah.
100%.
Think. Yeah. Well, but if he has issues and he can't be alone and he's like, you know, toxic red flag all around. And I just also feel like lately I've just seen so many like stories and like public things like stuff on like Love and Blind Men, which I don't know or watch, but it's just giving such like toxic men. And I'm tired of like seeing all these examples of men just treating people not well and then like not knowing how to heal their own crap. So I'm like,
Is this a
get your
Britney
shit.
Spears episode? Toxic? Like,
Yeah, apparently.
like,
Give me more.
I agree though, 100%. Not to minimize.
Okay, so I guess keep us up to date on that if we
I will.
care to know more
There
about
could be
those
some
people.
developments.
I really
There could
want
be
to know why
development.
her name is Chicken Fry.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll
that's
let
a
you-
highlight next week.
Yeah, we'll let you know what the origins of Brianna
A
Chicken
fun
Fry come
fact
from.
I would love.
All right, so moving on, we're gonna just do a traditional NFL update over here. Multiple things have been happening. I will say I was pretty cocky coming out strong on my fantasy side about being undefeated, and I have been taking loss after loss after loss. I'm like this.
Shit.
I'm like that the Seahawks now. I'm not at the bottom of the division yet, but I think I'm like 4 in a row
Who's
loss.
leading?
And that's
I think
really
Arissan still is. You're still
I'm
at the
like
So you're
I'm like-
losing, but you're still dominating in our league.
right. She's not
here's
at
the
top.
thing. I lost to the only other the person that had taken a loss. I think it was like 7 in a row or 6 in a row, and I gave
Shit.
her first win. So it's one of those things where even when I'm projected to win by a lot, I'm getting my ass kicked. So you know, that's the name of the game with football, fantasy. You never know what's happening. There's been a lot of injuries in the NFL that
Yeah.
have been happening. What's interesting, by the time this podcast comes out, it will have already passed, but this week is the NFL trade deadline. So might be some interesting trades happening. And so they had the trade deadline, the if any teams want to switch things around for injuries, getting ready for the playoff season, or if they're not going to the playoff season, want to trade to maybe get a better number in the draft pick. So, like, for example, Dak Prescott, the quarterback of the Cowboys, went out for a hamstring injury, which, I mean, I'm not saying that he's not injured, but also the stuff going on in Cowboys is drama. Like,
What's happening with the Cowboys?
Well, Ezekiel Elliott didn't travel with the team because of behavior, because he has been like late to practice and like team meetings have missed, so they decided he's like, you're not traveling with the team, so he sat. And there was apparently a clip of Dak sometime during the game yesterday being like, we fucking suck.
I saw that.
And like Jerry Jones of the whole, like, he's just like gives creepy older like controlling white man vibes. And like them giving, there's like like to cheerleaders too, like there's stuff going on in Dallas.
There's a lot of elements.
And to remind you, Dak, at the beginning of the season, signed the biggest, I believe that the highest quarterback deal package.
Like contract.
Holy
Thank
crap.
you.
Okay.
And they're just
suck.
like, yeah. So that's happening.
But congratulations to him. He got engaged this past month. So
God,
there's
what
Dak
a
there.
crazy
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
That's congratulations
with
to
that.
him. We also, in the Seahawks game, which womp womp, we lost this last
In
week.
overtime.
But Rams player Puka Nacua got kicked out of the game after punching a Seattle Seahawks player in the past game this Sunday. So that was wild.
Did he just like square up? Like, was he like hockey?
Yeah, he was just like to the side of the helmet. Just, yeah.
Innovative.
After a play. Also in smashing, hitting news, Jason Kelce, who Travis Kelce's brother, former Eagles player, Jason Kelce, apparently smashed the phone of some passerby that insulted his brother, Travis Kelce, and said the F word in reference to him being like Taylor Swift's boyfriend, and he then smashed the phone. So standing up for his brother there. Also, Chris Olive hit Olavi. He got hit pretty bad and got carted off the field this last week, and this is his second concussion this season, so that's really scary. So a lot of concussions, but that kind of brings into like really quickly talking about what is a dirty hit, like what are the penalties, what are the kind of the rules to look out for. That one, looking at the hit, it doesn't seem like it was a very intentional dirty hit, and that's also another thing. Football is just dangerous. But some of the main ones you'll see, one is like targeting. So that's when you intentionally hit a player in the head or neck area with any part of the body. And that usually results in like a 15-yard penalty and potential ejection. And then there's like clipping, which is blocking a player from behind by hitting him below the waist, like in the back of the legs. And that's considered a dangerous and illegal tackle. The horse collar tackle, which is kind of controversial. Like some players like say that it's called interesting, but like they understand like it's all patient safety, player safety, where it's when someone grabs them from the back and a plaque of the player's jersey and like pulls them, and so that like can mess up their neck and area. And then a late hit, which is often like easier to identify, is like when contacting a player after they're already out of bounds or have released the ball or they're down. And then like that's when like someone's running out of the sidelines and you see someone coming in and like doing a pretty hard hit when they're obviously already out. That is often called. There's also a crackback block, which is a blindsided block where a blocker comes from behind and hits a player in the head or neck area. And then there's there's spearing.
Wow.
It's actually called something. Yeah, I saw this TikTok about like how, man, you just listen to podcasts. I mean, not podcast, football announcers without context, and it just can sound like the dirtiest thing ever. But spearing is when you're initiating contact with the helmet directly into another player. And it's considered a dangerous play. Like I did not, when I got these like notes for myself, I was not even understanding. But that's pretty much, you're not supposed to go helmet to helmet or like tackle with your helmet. And then lastly, another pretty popular one that you'll see called a lot is roughing the passer, which is excessive contact with the quarterback while they're attempting to throw the ball, often including roughing the head or neck area. Also, that's why people are very mindful of it. It's because quarterbacks don't wear as much padding as the other players on the field. And yeah, that's your quick and brief updates on the NFL and some new rules that you maybe didn't know about.
Didn't know about any of those. I also feel like in addition to those injuries, there's also just like freak accidents that happen. I think we all saw a clip of a college football game. I want to say Blakumsky, who was injured after celebrating his touchdown, which is so sad. And honestly, as a person who has very weak ankles, I can see that happening. Like, it happens. And it's just unfortunate. Like that.
Just like stepping down the stairs, not even celebrating. Like,
you just like roll your ankle, and it's just unfortunate. Like, those injuries happen, but then it's great that they have all these calls in place for all these more like serious plays or like plays, I guess you can call them, where like folks can actually really get serious. Yeah, calls. There you go, calls. Where folks can actually get seriously hurt. The sport in and of itself is really dangerous. I think that's probably why I had a harder time getting into it, because it was just so many hits all the time. So
yeah, I hear you. I also have to say, like, I was playing a girl in our league, Cindy, and her team's name was Olave Garden. So when that hit my TV screen, I thought, Cindy, immediately is down for Cindy. She's probably sad. So Cindy, shout out to you. I'm sorry about Olive Garden. And I'm sorry to the player, obviously, first and foremost. Like, that was terrible.
Right.
I'm also watching the Aaron Hernandez American Sports Story, and one, it's really just sad overall, but two, there's a lot of times like watching it where they focus a lot when he gets like hit in the head. And as you know, he was one of the people that had CTE from getting hit so many times in the head. And this stuff just freaks me out. Like, I know it's a thing, and we've seen what's happened with some of the players, but to like watch the show and then also simultaneously trying to like engage with football the most I ever had in like years, and seeing people just get taken out at this, like, it's hard to watch sometimes. I know they get, they're passionate about it. They love it. They're trying to improve and make it safer, but it's hard. I could talk about it all day. I do think, though, it's maybe a wrap, and it feels like we're kind of wrapping on a dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So sorry,
friends.
But on a high note, maybe let us know. Like, what do you want to hear in an NFL update? What is going to make you feel more connected on a note?
This
maybe
is what
instead?
makes me happy. Chelsea, I feel like you and I are on the upswing with our
guys.
teams.
Exactly.
Sorry, Arissan,
exactly.
We got to celebrate our wins.
And maybe, yeah, and let us know by dropping a comment on our YouTube, IG, TikTok at the Sport and Society Pod. Tell us, Squad Pod. Let us know, how your fantasy teams are doing. We'd love to hear.
And please, please, please rate the pod. But in the meantime, stay sharp, stay sassy, and we'll catch you next time.